We landed on top crops because we wanted to make sure we're producing top quality, crops. So that's one piece of it. And the other is, just think it's top quality people, the gardeners who are part of top crops. So it's kind of top quality from a crop standpoint, but also just the caliber and the capability of our gardeners.
It took a year of talking about a garden for it to kind of come to any real serious planning. Then we connected with the College Heights Foundations. Alex Downing had been a good friend to us when my kids were in school, and so we were talking to him, and he said, Western has lots of land, lots of opportunities for maybe you all to go out and, have your farm there. That, and we, the USDA had a grant for the high tunnel, and we wrote for that grant and kind of married. We got 4 years. We had to have a 4-year spot for the high tunnel, and we got a 4-year lease on our land, and so it sort of all fell into place. Just to set the record straight, Bill's the dreamer, and I'm the practical person and the worrier. So honestly, I thought, okay, I'll give it a year, and then that'll be it. We just won't be able to manage it. But he dreams big, and I think we're a good balance actually for each other, because he wanted to dream big, grow big right off the bat, and I kept saying, I think we need to make our mistakes on a smaller scale.
Yeah, you never know. You kind of got this idea or the dream or dream in the back of your mind, and you can think of all kinds of reasons why it can't or shouldn't be done. It was really neat to come up to some people who just kind of right out of the gate said, that sounds cool. And Top Crops is never intended to be about anything other than creating an opportunity for adults with special needs, people who deserve opportunities just like anybody else, and will take advantage in a good way of opportunities presented to them.
Stacy, loves Stacy. She doesn't come to market very much, but she's such a garden girl. She's our tomato picker. You just give her a color and a specific thing, and she will just clean it out. She's so thorough. It's just super fun, and she gives such great hugs. And it's so funny because I don't see her this way because I always see her at garden, but at Jesus Prom, and apparently from Best Buddies, every time that they have events, she loves to dress up, and she's apparently a super girly girl, but I've never seen that side of her because I just see the down-to-earth, super dirty, grungy Stacy. John Michael's so much fun. At market, he just likes to socialize. He goes over to the Coleman brothers and he says hey, and he just chills out. He's not much of a seller, but he loves Coach Bill.
You're cool, man. John Michael, my gosh. You hear something so many times and it becomes, in most cases, it's just out of sight, out of mind. You forget about it. It's crying wolf. It's whatever. You just, somehow, every time John Michael says, you're a cool man, it's like you're hearing it for the first time. I never get tired of it.
The next one would be Alex. He is a very soft spirit. He's very quiet spoken, but he also is so funny. He loves to dance, and he will sit there and we will just joke and have fun at market. He and Raj pick kale and mustard, and they are so good because you're just like, you just do your thing, and he's like, yeah, I got this, you know. Jenna, oh, I love Jenna. She has so much energy. She's definitely the most talkative and the most vibrant. Yeah, like, and when I say vibrant, I mean like super, super energetic. She is definitely the market girl. She doesn't really like to be at the garden a whole lot, which is really funny because she's Bill and Carol's daughter.
She's a linchpin for the garden, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, that was our motivation, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember the day I was at work, working out outside of Kansas City, and it was a couple of weeks after she was born, and just got a frantic call from my wife. Jenna had, she was, the color was just not right, looked blue.
Anyway, the ER nurse said she's seizing and has been, and it probably took them 2 days to stop the seizures. We were not given a good prognosis originally. And then she's probably in the hospital 10 days.
The one distinct thing I'll just never forget is, one of the nursing staff. The doctors are busy focused on Jen and the thing, but one of the nursing staff, I guess, paid a little attention to us and just could see the look on our faces, and she just, and this guy just said, she's a fighter. She's a fighter. She's working hard to get past this. And somehow a little glimmer of hope provided through that statement. Anyway, as a result, probably the next 3 or 4 months, she started developing seizures, and as a result of the stroke that she had. And
we were told that she was probably not going to do a whole lot. We went back for a checkup a few months later, and the neurologist is like, she looks fine to me. I think everything's going to be okay. Well, she has a twin brother, John. I had a built-in gauge with John, and when he started doing, I could tell there was a difference. So we had additional testing. And
then all of a sudden, then you didn't know what to do. So we turned to a hospital out in California, took Jenna out to San Francisco, and the doctor there, who was a specialist in treating this type of, stroke victims and whatever else. Anyway, he had kind of a multidisciplinary team, and so they kind of did a lot of tests and looked at Jenna from a variety of different angles and just said, you know what? She's had a stroke. Her body's it's almost like she's gonna find a way in her own way to kind of recircuit the damage that was done. She needs a helping hand like the rest of us, but with a little help, some supports, some accommodations, people who care about her, she just keeps surprising us.
When we go into our school meetings, they'd say, what are your goals? And I'm like, I need her to be happy, safe, and as independent as she can possibly be. What goals do we need to work on to make that happen? That's what you want for your kids, period. If she's at home, she will connect with people via texting on her iPad, kind of, which is not the same. But the choices that she makes when she's at home are very isolating. But if she's got something to do with people out here at the garden or at the Buddy House doing something, Zumba or Special Olympics or Best Buddies or Inclusive Ministries, she'll do anything. She'll go paint a house. She'll do any task that you ask her to do if she's with friends. The social part is ultimately the most important part for these guys. honestly, I lay awake at night worrying Jenna's entire senior year of high school. She's going to become socially disconnected. She's losing a wonderful peer group when she leaves high school. And I don't have anything to take that place.
Our people with special needs love school, and leaving high school is devastating because there's nothing left. When I meet with college students and I talk to them, what was your next step after high school? You either, you went to college, focused on your career, got married, moved on, got a job. When our guys leave high school, they go home, and there's not much left for them. So the fact that they come here, they're in a kind of a school environment, they are with typical people from college, I can't tell you what it has meant for this program to have that opportunity. Even someone who has an intellectual disability wants to feel pride and success and that they're worth something. So in seeing that after high school, it became a passion of mine is what do we do, to keep them engaged. And I have seen when some of our people have graduated from high school, and if they're at home all the time, we do see personality changes. We see depression. So we're trying to, not just for Down syndrome, but for all disabilities in this area, find more in this area to incorporate meaningful activities for people with intellectual disabilities. And for those who are adults, I do try to direct them. I will say, Top Crops is hard work. And not all individuals with disabilities are, going to want to do it because it is work. But I think that we don't want our adults to become so dependent on everything that has to be done for them. Part of our goal is to make independent individuals. One of the things that I discuss with families is if you weren't around, what would become of your adult with a disability? Will that brother and sister be able to take care of them, or will they be a burden?
If it weren't for the seizures, I would push her out more with other people. But at this point, that's not comfortable for me or them. So, at this point, she's pretty glued to a pretty insular group, that Bill, me, Tucker, John, those that are comfortable dealing with. And I'm not sure the boys, they can handle the small seizures. I don't know if they've seen one of the big ones because they've been gone for a while, so I don't know. Bill and I just decided we're very purposeful. We can sit home and wait for the worst to happen, or just go live life and try to minimize the risks. But she's a doer, and if I held her at home, she'd be depressed. I lay awake worrying about what is going to happen to her when Bill and I are gone, because chances are we'll be gone before she is. And she has 2 very loving brothers, but I want them to be her brothers, not her caregivers. So, they'll have financial responsibility for her always, and we'll set those finances up for her. But I don't want them to have to take on the responsibility of caregiver. I don't think it's fair to them, and I don't think it makes for. I think she would be resentful of that. She knows they're her brothers. That needs to be the relationship that they have. So that's our goal. Don't know how that's going to happen yet, but I'm trying to gather like-minded people, and hopefully we can come up with a solution for that, because I'm not the only one in that boat, I know. So once Jenna graduated, the Buddy House moms have taken us under their wing. We always say, oh, Jenna seems to have gained that extra chromosome somewhere. So Jenna had a stroke when she was 2 weeks old, and so we don't fall under the autism umbrella, we don't fall under the Down syndrome umbrella, we don't really fall under the cerebral palsy umbrella. We're kind of just there, and we're not the only people with that issue. There are a lot of guys out there that don't fall under a bigger umbrella, and so there's really not been a banding together of individuals to take that on.
Grew some herbs, but they got choked out by weeds, and it was just a bunch of chickweed.
Bowling Green is starting to have a really, really cool community of people who are just interested in using food as a way to just kind of reconnect. My biggest takeaway is learning that you have to be involved one-on-one with whoever you're with. Like, no matter what issue you're trying to address or what kind of project you're taking on, like if you're not involved one-on-one and know personally people and learn about them, then you're not gonna achieve the things that they need.
Food brings people together. I think about the thing I like to do most is to sit down and have a great meal with people I love being with. So I want people to think about the people who grow your food. That has become more important to me as I've gone through this process, which is another one of those surprising things you don't anticipate. We really wanted to help our daughter and people like her, but I've just so come to admire the individuals that I see doing this on a huge scale for a lot of people and making a difference, and know that it's not an easy job, and it requires a lot of time and a lot of hard work.
The foods we produce certainly good for the body, but the work and the time with the special needs adults, that's good for the soul. We do kind of like these projects that just incrementally take us to the next level. So, the first project was building this high tunnel that we're in. Next project was building behind me these elevated garden boxes for adults that are wheelchair bound, or if you just want to garden standing up. It's kind of a cool way to garden. The next year it was going to the farmers market and building the produce displays so that our gardeners can proudly showcase their work and their efforts and the harvest from those efforts. So that's kind of the incremental growth we've seen and have been part of over the last few years. But in terms of larger growth, right now Top Crops is kind of an entity unto its own. We want it part of a larger interconnected network. That network might include I mean, one of those things is right now, Jenna, our daughter, lives with us. You know, at some point she needs to have some, we need to figure out residential living for adults with special needs for our daughter. For a lot of other parents are faced with the same thing. And so, you know, maybe part of it is a residential living community where you've got the garden. Well, if you've got a garden and you're harvesting produce, can you put up a small general store out here where we've got, you know, people can come out here and purchase their flowers or their vegetables, and it's right here and it's right on site. Those would be a couple of things. And also, I think, just here at the garden, we want it to be a, number one, a place Western's proud of because we're on their property, but we also kind of want to make it a special garden spot where you somehow, you kind of walk through the gate and you think, wow, man, this is really cool. So I think one of those other things is these different elements that we have out here, whether it's the compost bins or the elevated boxes or the tunnel or the raised bed boxes, we just kind of, we kind of want to connect everything together and create you know, a cool point of entry, and then kind of just a special place. Not something that's separated from the rest of the community, because we want connectedness with the community. It's why we go to the farmers market. We want everybody else in town to see what these gardeners are capable of and what they can do.
It's so different from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you didn't see individuals with disabilities, really. They were hidden away in an institution or at home, or you didn't see anybody with a disability at the grocery store, at the swimming pool, or, you know, at the neighborhood park. So, that said, we have come a long way. And I give schools credit for inclusion because as our young people have come up, they've had exposure to individuals with disabilities. There are still people that are uncomfortable with it. But I think, you know, everybody's got something, whether it's obvious or not. So I think just acceptance and taking a moment to get to know someone